board on Thursday, June 2nd, 2022. The time is 7:01. And would you please call the roll, please?
Trustee Bancole?
Here.
Trustee Prigge?
Here.
Trustee Husani? Here. Trustee Gutierrez?
Here.
You have a quorum.
You all rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion for the acceptance of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Call the roll, please.
Oh, well. Can I remove those two? Or do you want me to do it after?
You can do it now, and you can do it later,
do it now.
if you
Okay.
so wish.
So then can we remove 7A6 and
Well,
7A?
then, okay, 76. We don't want to remove them from the agenda. We want them on the agenda. You don't want to remove them from the agenda.
Yeah, probably better to wait until when we get down to those items and then deal with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because they're not part of the consent agenda.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
okay.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigge?
Yes.
Trustee Husani? Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, presentations. We have a proclamation for Immigration Heritage Month. And I'm sorry, come forward and state your name, please.
Leah Kim Yee.
Hello, Leah.
Hello.
And who are you with?
I'm with the North Suburban Legal Aid Clinic. I'm the director of the immigration law practice.
Very good. Here's our official proclamation. Whereas generations of immigrants have settled in the United States from every corner of the globe and have built our country's economy and created the unique character of our nation. And whereas nearly all of us can trace our heritage to another nation, we must never forget where we came from and why our ancestors came here. And whereas immigrants continue to grow businesses, offer innovative ideas, strengthen our economy, and create jobs in Illinois and throughout our nation. And whereas immigrants provide neighborhoods in Hanover Park with unique social and cultural influence, fundamentally enriching the extraordinary character of our hometown. And whereas immigrants have been tireless leaders in securing their own rights and access to equal opportunity, but have also persevered to create a fair and more just society for all Americans. And whereas immigration enhances Hanover Park's culture and prosperity as foreign-born individuals and their families continue to diversify our neighborhoods and strengthen our economy. And whereas our nation works to ensure a pathway to citizenship, Hanover Park will continue to support inclusive and just policies. Now, therefore, I, Rodney S. Craig, Mayor of the Village of Hanover Park, do proclaim June 2022 as Immigrant Heritage Month in the Village of Hanover Park, and do urge all citizens to join in this celebration, dated this second day of June 2022.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this honor. Again, my name is Leah Kim, and I'm the director of the immigration law practice at the North Suburban Legal Aid Clinic located in Highland Park. We provide free legal services in the areas of immigration, housing, and domestic violence to low-income residents in Lake County and suburban Cook County. As you know, June is Immigrant Heritage Month, and I'm so grateful and fortunate that we live, especially in Hanover Park, in a place where immigrants are welcome. In 2021, we partnered with the Hanover Park Police Department to put on a joint presentation on what to do in case immigration customs enforcement come knocking on your door, and also on the Trust Act in English and in Spanish. We have a free legal clinic that we come serve Hanover Park residents every month, thanks to Trustee Gutierrez. And tonight, I'm just here to thank Hanover Park for being such a welcoming city, and also to reaffirm our commitment to serving your residents. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sure. Let me hold this.
Stomach's getting big. Thank you. Thank you, and congratulations, and thank you for all of the work you do for our community. It is very much appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Leah.
Moving right along, we have our town hall session. Anyone signed up?
No, there
No?
isn't.
Okay. Village President's report. As I mentioned, our village president is representing us at the U.S. Conference of Mayors in Reno, Nevada. I think I said Kansas City, but he's actually in Reno, Nevada at U.S. Conference of Mayors, and I saw some of the breakout sessions that he signed up to attend, and they're very meaty, very meaningful, and very informative sessions. And I'm looking forward to him bringing back information on best practices that are from around the nation. So we wish him well and safe travels on that. With that, I'd like to approve by an omnibus vote items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
And those items are 7A1, 7A2, and 7A3.
Madam Clerk, you call the roll.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Priggy?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Motion passes.
At this time, if the board wishes, we can entertain a motion to remove items 7A4, 7A5, 7A8, 7A9, and 7A10, and followed by a motion to approve the same.
So moved.
So,
Who was
so
that?
what about,
Okay.
7A, 11 through 13? Those are also minutes as well.
7A11, is that included in that as well? That's,
Yeah.
oh, it goes all the way to 13?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me restate that. If the board wishes, we can entertain a motion to remove items 7A4, 7A5, 7A8, 7A9, 7A10, 7A12, and 7A13,
So moved.
11.
and 7A11, okay.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Trustee Priggy?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 7A6, remove from the
No,
table.
before you do that. So 7A4, 7A5, 7A8, 7A9, 7A10, 7A11, 7A12, and 7A13 have been removed from the table. And so I think the next thing would be whether or not you want to approve those minutes.
And now I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of 7A4, 7A5, 7A8, 7A9, 7A10, 7A11, 7A12, and 713.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Priggy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 7A6, remove from the table the minutes of the regular board meeting of March 3rd, 2022. entertain a motion to bring this back to the table.
So moved. Second.
Madam Clerk, a vote, please.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Biancolli?
So, sorry, just to clarify, if we're moving it back to the table
For discussion,
for discussion?
yes.
Okay, so yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Biancolli?
Yes.
Trustee Priggy?
Yes.
And Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Any questions?
Yes. Just going to the page. So I initially, I believe 2 weeks ago, removed these minutes and several other minutes because I found that there were literal chunks of my trustee report missing. And so, I was a bit confused as to why so much of my trustee report was missing from several different minute packets. And so I had a conversation with our village clerk, and she kind of explained some of the processes behind how she records minutes. But again, I sent in information essentially trying to clarify why some of my report was initially missing, and so I sent in more information, and I again see that it's not completely accurate. And so it's unfortunate that she's not here tonight, but I'm hoping maybe our village manager could maybe talk a little bit more about what stays in our village reports and what doesn't, because I find it a little bit concerning that there's, with so many of my minutes, or so many of my trustee reports, that there's huge chunks of it missing. And so I'll provide you with an example, just to be a little bit more specific. So a couple of months ago, when myself, Trustee Kemper, and Trustee Gutierrez made statements in support of the nation of Ukraine, and essentially statements in support of Ukrainian Americans within the Chicagoland area, those were all removed from our trustee reports. And so I'm hoping you can shed some light as to why those statements of support for the nation of Ukraine were removed from my report, was removed from Trustee Kemper's report, and was also removed from Trustee Gutierrez's report.
I don't have an answer for you. The village clerk takes the minutes, and she'll summarize them, or she doesn't do verbatim minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I will read them, a draft of them for the packet when the packet is put together. But the only change I would make would be correcting a spelling of a name or something like that. So I don't edit sections out of minutes. So I do have to have that conversation with her as to how those minutes are transcribed and the approach she takes.
Okay. So to clarify, you're stating that she is the sole person that would remove sections of our report?
Correct.
She's the only person?
Right.
So I've received conflicting information then. Because when she provided me with information, she showed me, I think like a board meeting from a year or two where you guys kind of talked about minutes in depth. She mentioned, and also in this board meeting, it was stated that it was at the recommendation of the village manager in collaboration with the clerk to decide what ultimately ended up in the official minutes. And so I think I'm just looking for some clarity, because I've now been told two different things, and I'm looking at minutes that's, again, missing huge portions of my trustee report.
Here's my recommendation. The person who can most accurately answer your questions isn't at our meeting tonight. Would you be adverse to us leaving these on the table until our village clerk is here so that she can answer those questions? And I'm sure we can get to the bottom of whatever the, you know, the situation is here.
Yeah, that's,
If we do that.
I am perfectly fine with that. And to clarify, I'm directing my questions to Juliana because our village clerk mentioned that that's who I should direct my questions to. So I think I'm just receiving.
She's indicated that she only does clerical errors or misspellings and whatever. So in view of that response, I think any further response, I mean, we can get comments from the other board members, but I think any further clarification of your issue probably needs to come from Christy Merrill, the village clerk. I think, unless you want to continue on with your questioning of the village manager, but I think we need Christy Merrill, the village clerk, here to get to the bottom of what happened. I can tell you, well, if you want to finish your questioning, then I won't interrupt you, and then I'll come in and with some comments later, because I do have history of what happened at that other board meeting that might at least let you know some of the background of what's going on.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, and, you know, I think the issue is that I've now received conflicting information, but if our village manager would like to add anything more to that, if not, then this is definitely something we could table, or Trustee Porter can add more information to.
The only I would say is the responsibility for the minutes are the village clerk. So she submits them to the board, and then the board can change them at the dais here. So if in the past, if there's been something that a trustee felt was missing or needed to be reworded, they've approached it from two different ways. My understanding from the clerk for these minutes that was pulled off at the previous meeting was that they reflected the changes that she had had a conversation. She did not provide redlined changes to the minutes. So these, the ones in the packets are the ones that she resubmitted for the packet. But then if there are changes, they would be made from the dais if they weren't made through a discussion with the village clerk.
Right, yeah.
And she can go back and listen to the tape and hear what was said. But again, the discussion previously at the board, when they had, as you mentioned, a detailed conversation, the direction of the board to the clerk was that they not be verbatim minutes and that they be a summary of what was said at the meeting.
Right, and I completely understand that. I think the issue is there's a difference between verbatim and then there's a difference between huge portions that are missing from our official minutes. I think there's a bit of a difference there. So thank you for explaining that. I do appreciate that, and I will, I guess, follow up with both of you, the clerk and you, because I'd like to just have a little bit of clarification on this matter. That's all I have. Thank you.
Is there anything from?
Yeah, I just, I wondered about this as well, and I was told that because I was at the original conversation that we had where there were some issues with the content of some minutes being political in some way in the past, and I was told that whatever the clerk is putting in there is has to relate to what's happening in the village, and so I received Section 2.06 of the Opens Meeting Act, and I think this is generally where, and I cannot speak on behalf of our clerk, but I think this is where she generally gets how she does it, and the minutes should generally consist of a record of what took place and nothing else. Speeches, discussions, or statements should not be copied into the minutes except when the council rules provide for statements explaining votes, when the council may so order in exceptional cases, or when such information is necessary to understand what took place at the meetings. And then it goes on about verbatim and full text communications, et cetera. And so at our first training, this is something that I brought out with IML as well, and they said that it is what the board decides and that this is what they go by. So I think this is what she's looking at, but I'm in agreement with Trustee Porter that I do believe she would be best to answer those questions.
Thank you for that additional information. I do just want to make one clarification. You mentioned something about political statements.
They were in the past.
So I'm not sure what was said in the past or what rules were in the past, but I don't believe that my statement in support of a nation at war and my statement in support of Ukrainian Americans and Eastern
That's
Europeans.
not what I said, no.
Please let me finish. Within the Chicagoland area is in any way, shape, or form a political statement. And
So
so
what
I
I
just
said
want to
was-
make sure
Yeah,
that that is clarified.
no, that I understand. What I'm saying is that first, excuse me, Trustee Bincoli, the first conversation came out of the fact that people were politicizing and taking advantage of it to some point. And so that's where all that discussion ensued. I can't remember how long.
Right,
ago.
and I listened to that board meeting, so.
Yeah, so that's when we went to IML, and this is the direction that she was given.
Thank you.
Okay, any other further discussion? Then let's entertain a motion, please, to return items 7A6. Does the same issue persist for 7A, present itself for 7A7?
So moved.
Well, they're connected. They're, it's this,
Oh, just put it back on
Yeah.
the table, okay.
yeah.
So let's entertain a motion, we did to, you've moved,
Second.
is there a second?
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we return item 7A6 to the table. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Absolutely. Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Biancoli?
Yes.
Trustee Priggy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Are the other minutes, okay,
Yeah, we've approved all of the other minutes.
The other minutes, I
Right.
sent Christie some, there were some mistakes,
they were
and so
clarified? Okay.
I sent them to her. They were accepted, and so I think they're good to go.
Great. Okay, moving to item 7A14, move to approve the warrant 602-2022 in the amount of $1,036,592.07.
So moved. Second?
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Trustee Biancoli?
Yes.
Trustee Priggy?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes,
Motion passes.
Item 7A15, move to approve warrant paid in advance 4/30/2022 through 5/26/2022 in the amount of $780,873.38.
So moved. Second?
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Trustee Biancoli?
Yes.
Trustee Priggy?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
yes,
Motion passes.
Item 7A16, move to approve April 2022 P cards in the amount of $16,089.63.
So moved. Second?
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Gutierrez?
yes,
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Priggy?
Yes.
And Trustee Biancoli?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Village Manager's Report. No report. Village Clerk's Report.
There's no report.
No report. Corporation Council Report.
No report. Thank you.
Village Trustee Reports. I see that I sit here at the top of the list. I just want to report that we're moving full speed ahead with our Juneteenth celebration, but I must report to the board that I never would have thought that there would be controversy that would arise with our putting on this event. Somehow, the notion has gone out that the first incorrect notion that's gone out is that this is a fundraiser. We have never presented any of our events for Sister Cities Committee as fundraisers. We do well to break even and not go into arrears on the presenting of these events. To emphasize that point, we have several members of the Sister Cities Committee who have dedicated and have put forward a donation of money out of their pocket to cover the overages for expense that would exceed the budgets that we so graciously received from the village for the operation of the Sister Cities Committee. And those members of the committee have designated that they will give personal funds out of their pocket so that this event doesn't operate in the red. So any monies that would exceed our operational expense would simply go back into the Sister Cities operating budget if there was any money. As it stands right now, we'll be lucky to break even. We may even have to come back to the board with a budget recommendation to cover our shortage, should there be one. So the first notion that I'd like to dispel is that there's any funds, any proceeds that will come from this event. I think that what we were stating in the flyer that caused the confusion and the disapproval by members of the community is when we said that proceeds would go to fund our operations in Cape Coast, Ghana, and Valparaiso, Mexico. Well, our mission as Sister Cities Committee, Sister Cities, for those who don't know and who may be listening in, and maybe even here in the room that don't know, was commissioned by President Dwight Eisenhower in 1959, I believe, to promote the idea of citizen ambassadors around the world. And with that thought, what began to happen was that cities in America began to partner with cities all across the world to form cultural and economic and social relationships for the betterment, because President Eisenhower believed that if we understand our neighbors and if we understand what other countries are doing, then we can reach levels of cooperation that might be denied to us, lacking that understanding. Our Sister Cities Committee has had a relationship with Cape Coast, Ghana. We'll be coming up to our 30th anniversary of our Cape Coast, Ghana Sister City relationship, and we just celebrated our 5th anniversary with Valparaiso, Mexico. So these are long-standing relationships that we have. Our Sister Cities Committee has supported our Hanover Park School in Cape Coast, Ghana. We've supported a women's shelter in the police community room, and also a children's playroom in the regional hospital in Cape Coast, Ghana. And we've sent scholarships for our Hanover Park School that comes from the budget that we receive from the village of Hanover Park. We take money from that budget and we support scholarships in Cape Coast, Ghana. And we've done that, and we are very proud of the work that we've done there. Sister City also has a relationship with Valparaiso, Mexico. We also send scholarships down to the Manuel Ortega School in Valparaiso, Mexico. We sent soccer uniforms and baseball equipment. We send, items that will support that community to Valparaiso, Mexico. And we do that to honor and to continue on with that relationship, as it is our mission as an organization of the Sister Cities International Committee. So when we say that proceeds will go to support those operations, we're not saying proceeds necessarily from this event, but what we're saying is that monies that we receive in our budget from the village of Hanover Park to cover our operating expenses, that those monies that we're depleting to put on this event, we're taking money from our Valparaiso Independence Day celebration. We borrowed money that was supposed to go for the Independence Day celebration. We pulled money from that budget and then used it to put on the Juneteenth celebration. We canceled participation in an international conference event for Sister Cities International, and we used that money to put on this event. So this event, without the support of Sister Cities Cape Coast, Ghana, and without the support of the subcommittee for Valparaiso, would not have happened whatsoever. There would be no Juneteenth celebration had not Cape Coast Committee, Subcommittee, and the Valparaiso Subcommittee so graciously and generously donated funds that were allocated for that operation for us putting on the Juneteenth celebration. So I get a little bit on edge when we're accused of not supporting the black community or pulling money from the black community and sending it to these foreign countries. It's completely the opposite. These foreign countries are supporting this effort that will elevate and celebrate the black community. These communities that really have nothing to do with the black community, but they are the reasons that we're able to have this event that celebrates a cultural event for the black community. So this thing has gotten totally twisted. And for anyone that's listening or anyone that may be interested, I'm willing to explain this in detail, but I thought it would be remiss if I didn't address that and set the record straight as to why this is happening, why there's even a Juneteenth event to begin with. I would also like to mention that for the last 5 years, Sister Cities Committee has sponsored the Black History Month event. And we've done that, even though Sister Cities, again, is a cultural relationship with Cape Coast, Ghana, and a cultural relationship with Valparaiso, Mexico, yet and still in an effort to provide educational and entertainment opportunities to the Hanover Park community, we've sponsored the Black History Month events, which have been very well received in the overall community that we've done that. So this has been a symbiotic kind of relationship between Sister Cities and the black community here in Hanover Park. We took on this responsibility willingly, and we took it on with good intentions, and we will continue to take it on with good intentions, but we will not forego our responsibilities to Cape Coast, Ghana, and to Valparaiso, Mexico. In fact, we will send them a letter of thanks that they have supported and helped sponsor our Juneteenth celebration. So I think the conversation goes completely in the other direction. To say that we don't support activities that support the black community in Hanover Park, I think is erroneous and is damaging to the history and the historical history of what Sister Cities in Hanover Park has meant to this community. I know at the last meeting I made a comment about gun violence. Little did I know that at the next meeting we would have to have this conversation once again. It's heartbreaking, and at times we're left without words, but I will try to give words to my feelings, and I speak not for the village board, but I speak as Herb Porter, an elected official that sits on this board. And tonight, as President Biden addresses our nation in the wake of another incident of mass gun violence, an occurrence happening so frequently we can barely get the victims in the ground before another shooting is broadcast into our living rooms. I would like to add my voice as an elected official to those calling for change. Most people are recommending sensible gun control is what's needed. To that I say, sensible gun control is unfortunately a day late and $1 short. Sensible gun control was needed when Columbine, Virginia Tech, Northern Illinois, Sandy Hook, Las Vegas, Parkland, El Paso, Texas, Oak Creek, Charleston, South Carolina, and the list goes on and on. In my humble opinion, what is needed today is radical gun ownership regulations. With this in mind, I suggest that we look into an immediate 3-day waiting period for the purchase of a firearm of any type. This cooling off period would undoubtedly save lives as a cooling off period to avoid emotional purchases which often lead to deadly consequences. 2, a federal law that raises the age to purchase a semi-automatic gun to 21 years old, same as alcohol. 3, a ban on the ownership, sale, or transfer of assault-style weapons to anyone not specifically licensed, the same as we do with fully automatic machine guns. Or, for private citizens, mandatory training of 20 hours on the handling, use, and storage of assault weapons. Much like the military does not just simply hand over these machines that have one function, to injure and kill people, but they put their soldiers through very intense training before they're handed a weapon and given the authority to use that weapon. We do the same with our police department. Before we hand them a gun, we put them through rigorous training to make sure that they are capable of responsibly handling the weapon. Number 4, Congress removed all the protections that prevent gun manufacturers from being held liable for the damage their products inflict on our society. A universal database shared across all law enforcement platforms to perform comprehensive background checks. This week, the nation of Canada took radical steps to curb the proliferation of guns. The United Kingdom, New Zealand have all acted in similar measures. As it stands, the U.S. has the most guns of any other nation per capita, of 120.5, followed closely by Yemen per capita at 52.8. That's not an association that I think we in America should be proud of. Being that this is an election year event, and raising an election time will most likely pass with our elected officials kicking the can down the road. Well, I say tonight, enough is enough. Tonight, I turn my flag lapel upside down, which is a symbol of distress, because I believe that our nation is in distress. And I say, America, we must do something. And with that, I yield to Trustee Yasmin Bankole.
Thank you, Trustee Porter. All right. I want to first start off my report by thanking the DuPage Habitat for Humanity, as well as our CIDC committee for putting on a successful MLK Build-Up Day a couple of weeks ago. I know it was a rainy day and that it was hard to paint, but I am always thankful for the partnership that we have with the DuPage Habitat for Humanity. I also want to mention that the DuPage Habitat for Humanity is also currently looking for different ways to better communicate Court J, communicate, to Court J, and to essentially assist with communications regarding their HOA agreements. So if anyone is listening and you reside in Court J, if you could reach out to DuPage Habitat for Humanity. They have several different staff members that whose roles are dedicated to that specific portion in our neighborhood, and they would appreciate assisting you with those HOA agreements. Our environmental committee was able to meet a couple weeks ago. I'm always thankful when we are able to meet. We have our apiary event, our annual apiary event coming up this Saturday. I believe it starts at 1 p.m. And so if you're available, I would encourage you all to stop by this event. I also want to thank our trustees and our village staff for the recent Memorial Day observance. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend because I was out of state, but I did see the photos of it, and it was quite moving. So thank you to all who were involved in that event. I also wanted to wish everyone a happy Pride Month. As many of you know, the month of June is Pride Month, and I hope that one day we may live in a world in which we will not be judged by whom we choose to love. And last but not least, tomorrow is Gun Violence Awareness Day. Some organizations turn it to a whole weekend, but those who are advocates against gun violence wear the color orange tomorrow and throughout the weekend to essentially raise awareness about gun violence and to honor the lives that have been lost by gun violence. I very much agree with many of the things that Trustee Porter just stated in his trustee report. We are in a state of distress. And I think that statements are great. I think prayers are needed. But I also think that action is quite pertinent. And so I think about how there is a gun range currently being built in the village of Hanover Park that is a mile away from a middle school. I'm going to repeat that statement. There is currently a gun range in Hanover Park being built a mile away from a middle school. And I think of all the recent acts of gun violence. And so I think that action is of the utmost importance. Trustee Porter talked about action at the federal level. There have been actions taken at the state level. I also believe that we here in Hanover Park can also take action. And so with that being said, I would like to propose that before this gun range opens, that the village board votes on an ordinance that would ban the sale of assault-style weapons from the gun range that is currently being built a mile away from Springwood Middle School. And so I am directing our village manager and our village attorney to hopefully work on that ordinance so that the village board can vote on said ordinance before that gun range opens. And I am happy to assist in that effort as well. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Bancole.
Thank you.
Trustee Bob Priggy.
No report.
Trustee Syed Husseini.
Thank you, Trustee Porter. Trustee Bancole mentioned it, MLK event, thank you. It went very well in spite of the rain. The volunteer spirits were high to work until it's pouring. So 2 hours of strong work, and thank you, liaison from the staff, Barry, for handling this. It was a tough day, and you held it tight, so it went very well. Should I send the email out for June 9th? There is a public hearing for Village Center zoning. The notice is sent to all the owners that are affected in the zone to participate. So if anybody can make it from the trustees, that would be great. Trustee Porter, you addressed the Juneteenth event in depth as to the controversy around it. Thank you so much. That clarified a lot of things. I am not an advocate on that to talk about at all whatsoever, but it was addressed on my Facebook page as well. All the local community members want is to have a local impact instead of international impact. I think there is a twist, as you said, because there's the sister cities, the intent of sister cities, and what the past has been. Now the sister cities is holding the Juneteenth event, so it's just there is a mix-up. Juneteenth event looked at as a U.S. event. Here it's a federal holiday, and why it's celebrated is a much bigger reason to it, and how the proceeds should be handled. It's much bigger concerns. I think all they want to hear is to if there is any proceeds left after the event has been established, that money goes to a local charity. That's all they're concerned about. The charity that is supported by Black community. That's one thing that they want to hear to close the case on this. So I'm kind of hearing that on the Facebook. If you're welcome to go and review it on my Facebook page. But because the concern was brought to me, it's my duty to bring it here and discuss it and mention it, how it's impacting the community and how it's affecting the community. So I think that would be the end result, what I see, but you are much more knowledgeable on the subject, and I will leave it on you to make a decision. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustee Hussaini, thank you for those comments. I would just simply say that if there are any proceeds, I would recommend that they reimburse the members of the committee who have come out of their pockets with contributions of $250, $350, $500 personal contributions to cover the cost of this event. So the members of the committee are paying a high price to make this happen. And if there are any proceeds, my first recommendation would be that those members are reimbursed for their contribution to make this event happen. And then we would go from there. But this event is not, it's free of charge. There's no charge to attend. There's nothing for sale other than private vendors who will be selling information, and food trucks who will be selling items there. We have a modest ad book, which we hope to cover some of the expenses for the event, which will fall short, but it will help fill some of the deficit in budget. So I won't reiterate what I've already said. I've made that statement, and thank you for your comments. I just wanted to give that point of clarification. But I am very upset that our liaison from the village, Catherine Perez, has been the receiver of a lot of hateful, racist voicemails. She does not deserve that. She serves us faithfully. She's is the rock and the foundation of that committee. So much of the work that she does is essential to the function of the committee, and it just really grieves me that she has been the recipient of so much hateful voicemails and emails. It's unfair to Catherine. She's a strong woman, and she says she's okay, but I know that that's got to have an effect on you when people call and say some of the hateful things that she's had to endure. So to that extent, I take that kind of personally, that this is happening, and I just want to make sure that we clear the air and let everyone know what the situation is. But thank you for sharing what you've encountered on your Facebook page.
And then I mentioned it very mildly here. Yeah, that was hate messages, so you can read it when you get to my Facebook,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it has been, okay.
All righty. Trustee Lisa Gutierrez, please.
Thank you. So I'm going to take full advantage that I know that this goes out on YouTube. So I've got some things to say. I've gotten a lot of questions about how we can help our Ukrainian brothers and sisters. And so taking full advantage of this, I'm inviting you to visit ukraine.welcome.us, which shows how you can help. This terrible war is draining at this point. They're not living, they're barely surviving. So ukraine.welcome.us. The other thing, on next Tuesday, the both Poplar Creek and Schaumburg Township libraries will be at the POC at Ascension at 1515 Lake Street between 9:30 and 12:30. And if you lost that library card, even if you owe books, now they don't charge for being late on fees. So you don't have to be afraid of going back to the library. There will be 2 librarians there, and they have all these great services that they want people to take advantage of. And so we're so blessed that we both have Schaumburg Township Library and Poplar Creek Library, and they'll be at the POC at Ascension next Tuesday. After that, on Wednesday, June 8th, is the Tanglewood Blue Ribbon Cutting, and this is going to be at 2800 Glendale Terrace, number 17, here in Hanover Park. It's from 11:30 to 12:30 p.m., so you are invited. And then about the Historical Committee, we're still going to add it. This is my favorite committee, and we're finding so much information from other cities that we have so much that doesn't belong here, Bartlett, et cetera. So they'll be getting boxes of all this stuff that belongs to them as well. And then want to let you know that I am too uniting my voice with yours for change. You know, Uvalde is small town America. Hanover Park is small town America. So to my fellow trustees, I've emailed you. The National League of Cities, is asking for our letter, our support in helping the federal legislation to curb gun violence. And so they're urging Congress to quickly enact stronger laws that keep guns out of the hands of violent individuals and support stronger mental health systems. And so I'm sending you this for you to sign on if your heart tells you to. But that's one thing we could do. The other thing I was asking about was what we can do here at our level, whether it is what trustee Bankole had said, can we enact our own as other places in Illinois and California have done? And so I know that there's more to this. I know that there might be laws that will take precedence over this, but I like to look into that as well as with trustee Bankole. And then finally, on June 29th, at 5:30 at Bussey Woods, shelter number 6 in Elk Grove Village, the 708 Board Coalition will be meeting. And a 708 board is so important. Hanover Township has one. It's a mental health board that is a valuable source for our populations here. This one is for Wheeling and Schaumburg Township, and they're pivotal in providing comprehensive care to those affected by mental illness, addiction, or developmental disabilities. They're funded by grants and by property tax increase. And when you hear that, you think, oh my God, no. It's a $25 a year average per household, $25 to bring $1.5 million to help with the mental health crisis that we face. And I can tell you we face it because I have an office here in Hanover Park doing social services, and we have this issue. And the townships have their boundaries. So if you live in Schaumburg Township, Hanover Township can't serve you. And so these boards are going to, the 708 board is looking for a referendum in November. And so on June 29th at 5:30, they're going to have like this family event where people can come and just find out what is that this board does. Just another tax, what is it that they want? And they're going to show the impact that they can have. And we've proven that with the other boards that we have in town, like the one in Hanover Township. And this one's both for Wheeling and for Schaumburg Township. And then finally, I visited, I'm part of the Harper College Transportation Infrastructure Committee. All my committees are merging into one. And so we're looking at that final mile and the fact that we're so disconnected. And so set before us is the idea of bringing the 4 townships together. We'll be having a meeting soon to have the 4 townships talk, have PACE talk, and see where heat maps are and where that final mile, where there's a disconnect. There's great grants out there. We're going to work together to see how we can bring some of those grants to the township and to the municipal level. I'm very interested in bringing the bike systems to the metro if possible. So that's happening as well next week at Harper College. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. That concludes our trustee reports. There's no executive session. I'm sorry, you wanted to circle back, yes.
I remembered something that trustee Gutierrez had asked for a status of the bridge and the approval by the Free from Tanglewood board. I was told by the property manager today that the board has approved signing of that bridge easement and that she
So tentatively, like how long before work starts in that area?
If we were to receive that document, what's the next step?
Hello? Sorry, given the lead time for the manufacturing and when the documents come in and how the project has to be let, it has to be let using the state letting. The absolute earliest that that project could begin would be March or April of next year.
Okay. Thank you.
And so with the signing of that document, that means we're no longer, I believe we're moving forward with a lawsuit, correct? So we're no longer moving forward with a lawsuit, because what we needed signed has been signed.
So we received this document, I believe that, any discussion about lawsuits or anything would have to take place in, or should take place in closed session. So we could, have that discussion. I believe that this is what we need for the bridge.
Okay, but to clarify, we are no longer moving forward with what was previously discussed. You stated that the document that we needed has been signed, therefore we can developments. But previously, you stated that we were moving in a different direction. So I'm just trying to clarify that what was previously discussed will no longer be taking place.
So we, if we receive these documents, we will be able to go forward, with that property being, an easement being, accepted for those, for that property. I can't comment on the discussion that took place in closed session.
Okay, thank you for your clarification.
Any other comments? With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Village Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Biancoli?
Yes.
Trustee Priggy? Trustee Husani? Yes. Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Motion passes.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Time is 7.
Oh. I get to sign my life away?
And they get people.